From the streets of Chicago to the headlines of the world, you are now tuned into the rhythm of real thought. This is the Daily Mix. 15 minutes of uncut perspective starts right now.
All right. Hey, what's going on, y'all? Welcome to the Daily Mix. I'm your host, Omari Jahi. And today we're talking about a topic that is everywhere in our social feeds, our dating lives, our politics, but rarely discussed with much nuances. Masculinity and femininity. Who actually gets to define what these terms mean in our lives today? Is it biology? Is it the culture we grew up in? Or is it something we choose for ourselves? In a world that's constantly telling us how to man up or be more feminine, it's easy to lose track of who we actually are. So today, we're peeling back the layers on the archetype, the stereotypes, and the quest for a definition that actually fits. Let's get into the mix, y'all. Let's discuss human biology, this testosterone and estrogen stuff, and evolutionary psychology. Now, historically, these traits were often tied to survival roles: provider, protector versus nurturer, sustainer. You know, in the 50s, femininity was defined by the happy homemaker, the archetype, mastery of the domestic arts, and emotional support for her husband, and the moral upbringing. Mainly that was very key, the moral upbringing of the children. To be unfeminine was to be career-driven or difficult. Today, femininity has moved into a public sphere. It now includes ambition, leadership, financial independence. A woman can be a CEO, a weightlifter, stay-at-home mom, or all three. And none of those roles inherently disqualifies her from being feminine. Historically, masculine has often been defined simply as not being feminine. Now, but if we don't know the difference, well, that's a whole nother story, right? But in the 50s, a man's value was almost entirely tied to his utilities, his gifts. The gift that he had where he could earn a living with his hands and taking care of his family. He was the provider and the protector. Success was measured by a steady paycheck, a suburban home, and a family that didn't want for anything. Now I have to hit the pause button on this one for a minute. I got to hit pause right there, because my challenge today with all of that is, if a man has a 1-bedroom apartment and he has a job and he's able to pay his bills, his woman or women are supposed to fall in line with that man in under his income bracket, and they work together to bring the family up to a home in the suburbs or wherever they want to be. But since women were allowed into the workforce during World War II, the so-called standards of women were raised too high for the average black man to provide for. Being a good man meant being the silent, sturdy pillar of the household. Today, economic shifts have turned the breadwinner model into a rarity rather than the rules. Masculinity is now increasingly defined, by collaboration. Modern fatherhood, for example, involves a level of hands-on domestic duties like changing diapers and emotional labors that would have been seen as unmanly 70 years ago. The strong silent type was the ideal. Emotions were seen as a liability or a feminine trait. Men, they were expected to process grief, fear, and stress internally. Today, there's a growing movement toward emotional literacy. While the tough guy trope still exists, it is being challenged because true strength requires the courage to be vulnerable today. That's what identifies strength today, being vulnerable. Discussing mental health, going to therapy, and getting your feelings out, and increasingly, your feelings increasingly viewed as a masculine virtue rather than a sign of weakness. Now, there's a power that's being generated beyond gender. Discussing masculinity and femininity as energies rather than strictly male or female traits. Masculine energy, feminine energy. See, masculine energy directs logic, action, protection. Feminine energy flows intuition, creation, reciprocity. The balance of all of this, regardless of gender, carries a mix of both. The struggles often arise when society tells us to suppress one half of the equation. Community and faith, the roles of religion and tradition structures in providing a roadmap for these identities. That's what religion is supposed to be. They're supposed to be helping us to navigate this roadmap of masculinity and femininity based on descriptions and what the Word of God says about the man and the woman's role in the household or in the family. And the tensions that arises when those roadmaps are considered outdated. Now, who has the authority to outdate God? If God say this is how it's supposed to be, which one? I mean, as generations come and go, I guess those generations, the newer generation, can make a decision or make a determination that that's outdated now. You know, these roles, these gender roles, they are outdated. Now, I can understand this. Now, mind you, because I understand that times do change and that there is a time where roles might have to be crossed or things of that nature. Just give you an example. You know, if a mother becomes ill, say she has some kind of illness and is hospitalized or whatever, or the husband is taking care of her at home, then the husband definitely has to take on multiple roles. And vice versa. Let's just say the husband throws his back out something. He's laid up in traction somewhere. Now the woman got to fill in that gap, right? Or fill in that void. That's understandable. But then, if everybody is in good health, when the woman gets out of the hospital, she's overcome her illness, she's overcome whatever ailment that was upon her. The guy, he's not in the hospital anymore. His back is back working properly. Then everybody goes back to their spot, their role. You know, you don't lose sight of how it's supposed to be just because you don't feel like doing that. The modern shift towards self-definition Who gives any of us the authority to be or consider ourselves in a modern shift? And we have the authority now to define our roles in this life, and we didn't give ourselves the life. That's like saying our kids have the right to determine what chores they're going to do. You, the parent, you determine they're going to wash dishes or empty the garbage or mop the floor or vacuum or whatever. You make that determination, but they say, no, that's old fashioned. That's outdated. We don't have to do that anymore. Is that liberating for the children? Do we accept that? Or is it just confusing? Or is it just nonsense, crazy as hell? The world will tell you that if a definition of masculinity or femininity helps you understand yourself, use it. If it makes you feel small or ashamed, discard it. At the end of the day, y'all, being a good man or a good woman is vital to the success of the family structure. We have to play our part in this movie, y'all. This is a big conversation, and one that is going to be, it ain't going to be settled in 15 minutes. And my time is about up. It's not going to be settled in these 15 minutes of this episode. But here's a question for you today. If effective gender roles in times of war and slavery are what we needed to survive then, my question to you today is, did the racial war end? Is racism over with? Did slavery really end? Is slavery over with? Or does it just take on another appearance or another face? And if they did, why are we being asked to move differently? See, if we're still enslaved and if we're still fighting racism, we still need to be in these roles. Now check this out. If the government says you can, in order to get welfare, there can't be a man in your house, then they automatically change the roles. That's like saying, remember I was saying earlier, an example of the man being sick. Well, what if he ain't just sick? What if he's not allowed in the household with his wife and his children? Then the woman has to take on the role of both genders, right? Or vice versa. Let's just say the wife dies. The man, that husband, will have to take on the role of both genders. He has to be the nurturer and the provider, protector, and all of that, right? Think about it. Just think about it. And let's keep the dialogue going. Thanks for tuning in today to the Daily Mix, y'all. I'm your host, Amari Jahi. I'll see y'all tomorrow on The Mix. Peace.
Take care of your mind, take care of your health, and we'll be back in the mix tomorrow at 12 noon. Till then, peace out.